Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming. My name is Chuck Bone, and I'm the president of BL Harbert International Group. On behalf of the entire international division, I would like to welcome you to the opening ceremony and the ribbon cutting of our brand new facility. Thank you for coming. Joining me on stage today is Gary Savage, president of BL Harbert Domestic Group, Chris Giatina, principal, Giatina Aycock Architectural Studios, Alf Hill, vice president, BL Harbert, Patrick Mitchell, senior vice president, BL Harbert, Eric Agnew, senior vice president, BL Harbert, Jim Ryan, president and COO, BL Harbert International, and Billy Harbert, chairman and CEO, BL Harbert International. I would like to begin today by thanking Eric, Alf, and Pat for the unwavering support, partnership, and camaraderie that we've shared over the years. Thank you three very much. Appreciate it. The construction of our new facility was a joint effort between our international and domestic groups. There were some key players on the project, and I'd like to acknowledge them real quick. They were Mike Eidson, Mark Wills, Jason Carr, Wendell Gearjetz, Richie McDowell, and Frank Roncadori. And a special thanks goes to Kevin Loftus, who helped manage the whole thing. So thank you very much. As we all know in this business, none of this would have been possible without the outstanding support of our vendors and our subcontractors. You'll see in your program a list of the vendors and subcontractors who helped work on this project. Please look in that program and acknowledge those vendors and subcontractors, as like I say, we would not be here without them. So thank you very much for your support. At this time, I would like to acknowledge the design team of Giatina Aycock Architectural Studios. In my opinion, the only way to truly evaluate the success of a design is to ask yourself if the end product reflects the essence of your company. Our new facility is extremely functional and is a perfect representation of what we are all about. It is dynamic, mysterious, daring, and humble, all traits of the International Group. Our goal at the beginning of this project was to build a facility that mirrored the operational philosophy of our company. We believe the design has done that. They took the time to understand our needs, and they took the time to understand what it is we were trying to achieve. The job is much more than the aesthetics associated with the building. The job is about the entire compound. How do we access our warehouse? How do we provide extracurricular activities for our employees? How do we make each employee honored to be a part of something very special? These are the real challenges we faced when we developed this compound. That said, I believe we accomplished what our objective was. I want to sincerely thank Chris Giatina and invite Chris to come say a few words.
Hello. I really thought I knew you guys when I started. I grew up with Billy. Mr. Harbert gave me really my first opportunity to make something with the first commercial bank building. I climbed to the top of the Petronas Towers with Billy while he was hanging onto a gargoyle. I felt part of you guys for a long time. And so when Billy asked me to come over to the warehouse across the street where the International building was, to talk about a new headquarters, it was understandable why I thought that I knew what was going on. And so we sat, and Jim was there, and Billy was there, and Chuck was there, and basically everybody up here on the stage was here, and some others, and they rolled out what they thought was the idea, the essence of the project. It was very meticulous. You can imagine that Eric had drafted it neatly, and we understood it. Kind of. And so I had taken what I had a priori thought was the notion of the building, and I had seen Jim's sketch as presented by Eric, and I heard Billy talk about it. And all of that was predictable. And then something unpredictable happened, and Chuck said, let's go walk around. And so we got up in this little modest building across the street, and he blew me away. He blew me away with the way this team functioned. I had not seen anything like it personally. I had seen a mechanical, an electrical, and a plumber typically dispersed into different buildings, usually under different contracts with different owners. And in this place, I saw them making billions of dollars worth of stuff all over the globe and doing it in a very modest little place, invisible to the world. And I was literally stunned. And it was at that moment I realized that the integration of this team was the brilliance of the business model that came about, and that somehow I had to not screw that up if I were to make a building over here, okay? And so that idea of integration was the beginning of the overall project. From that, we did a number of things. We worked, as you would imagine, but it really came down to simply, could we make the warehouse and the office building, even though the decibel level between these two is enormous and the function, and one has tractor trailers and the other has dignitaries in it, come together in such a way that it made sense. And so what we did was we pushed the warehouse as close to the ravine as possible, and then we pushed the office building as close to the ravine, which typically would be separated, and then we created a visual connection between those two. That was the idea. So think like rocks in a garden, in a Zen garden, so that all the pieces come together to make something more than the sum of their parts. That was the idea. The building's square, it's a square donut. You'll see it has a circle in the middle. And the idea there is, in a circle, the further I walk away from Billy, or the further Jim walks away from Chuck, the closer they get to each other. And the idea is that everybody in that project team can't help but to run into each other a lot. And that was the idea, to reinforce the integration of the team. And when I was walking through the finished building with Chuck a few weeks ago, there were no less than 3 people that came up to Chuck and said, thanks, Chuck. Thanks for making this building. And it was a point where I realized that the birthing experience, which can sometimes be very painful, was worthwhile. And I'm reminded of my hero, Buckminster Fuller, who's a deceased architect and engineer, who said, I don't look for beauty when I'm trying to solve a problem, only for the solution. But if I'm finished and the solution's not beautiful, I know it's wrong. And what I hope you find today is a beautiful solution. I thank you very much for being here and allowing me and my firm to be a part of it. Thanks.
Well, for those of you that are wondering, there actually is a building behind the tent that we will be able to see here real shortly. The international group would not be where we were today if it were not for the next speaker. During some of the most challenging times of 2003, there were questions as to whether the international division should even exist. Jim Ryan believed in us, he stood by us, and he supported us 100% of the way. Jim, thank you for trusting us and believing in us. We would never be here without you. We really appreciate it. Now it is my honor to ask Mr. Jim Ryan, our President and COO, to say a few words. And while I've got Jim up here, I just wanted to say one more thing. I was at an event last night, and I think many of you were there as well. And it was a tribute to Jim Ryan that he twisted, and he turned it into a tribute about the company. But it was an individual award, well-deserved.
Thank you.
Well-deserved, and he represented the company very well, so thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Chuck. Words can hardly describe, really, where we've come from, and really cannot describe adequately the job that Chuck and his team have made. Chris was very right when he said that this is an organization that's put together in a very unique way. And there's such a feeling of team spirit and camaraderie and everyone pulling together. It's really remarkable. And you know, I know Mrs. Bone is here. Mrs. Bone, you have raised a truly remarkable son, and you can be very proud of him. And Chuck, thanks for those words. And you know, last night was a good night for the company. We actually also got the Contractor of the Year award, and Billy got up to take it, and then he took over the stage and started telling him everything. So it was really a very good night for the company. So.
That was a little bit of an exaggeration. I don't think I took over the stage.
Hey, I don't exaggerate, Billy. Come on now. All right. As we come together to celebrate the completion of this new, wonderful facility, we all know that the company milestone symbolized by this building would not have been achieved without the outstanding contribution of a team of construction professionals, and they're all here today. With this thought in mind, it is very apt to recognize today one of our outstanding stalwarts who is retiring at the end of this year. Eric Agnew, there he is. Big Eric. I believe he's blushing. Eric Agnew has worked with our different Harbert companies since 1980, starting in Ecuador, working in many parts of the world, Marshall Islands to Malaysia and places in between. He's been steady as the Rock of Gibraltar. That's the way I've always thought about him, and has had enormous impact on the success of our company. I've always felt good estimating has always been the key to a successful company. And we are very, very fortunate to have had Eric keeping a steady hand on the wheel for all our estimating processes over the years. So, in the company of all assembled today, you got a little bit ahead of me, I would really like to recognize my friend and associate and distinguished Harbert stalwart, Eric Agnew. Eric, we wish all the best to you and Jackie as you move to Sea Ranch in California, and we will come and visit you, wherever Sea Ranch is. Okay, to change subjects. One of the strengths of our company is the feeling we have as being part of BL Harbert construction family. This concept of belonging enables all of us to understand that we're working for something greater than ourselves. The success of one is the success of all. But this would not have come about if it wasn't for the efforts and dedication over 60 years of our founder, Mr. Bill Harbert. And at this point, I would like to invite Anne and Elizabeth and Billy to come forward as we pay a tribute to Mr. Harbert. Come on now. Okay, guys, please unveil the portrait. Come on now, don't be shy. Are you going to read it to us, Anne? No. Can you? Thank you. He was one awesome man, and we'll never forget him. And that picture's going to hang in the lobby of our office as you walk in, and it's a tribute to him. I've said so many things about Mr. Harbert. I'm not going to say them all today, but I do want to just mention some things, and I'm going to read them to you, okay? Bill was able to see what others could not see, and was willing to go to places that others were not willing to go. And through his vision and drive, we have been given the opportunity to be a worldwide player in the construction market. Not only that, but he also loved the excitement of international construction and had an abiding confidence in the worth of the people that he encountered all over the globe. Believe me, it was not easy to impress Bill, but even so, I just wish that you could see what we are doing today in his honor and due solely to his legacy. At this point, I have to introduce our next speaker. Are you ready?
I'm never ready.
Okay, he says he's not ready, but we're going to call him anyway. Okay. To be honest, we did not really know what to expect when we signed on with Bill L. Harbert in the year 2000. But let me share with you what I've discovered over these years from working very closely with Billy Harbert. I found someone who trusts and supports our people and constantly recognizes their worth. Someone who is passionate about the sometimes crazy construction, and on whom I've come to rely as he has faithfully supported us, all of us, as we have charted our course forward. I believe Mr. Harbert would be very proud of his son today, and the man for whom our company is named, our next speaker, the one and only, Billy Harbert. Thanks, buddy.
Good afternoon. What a fantastic day. All right, this is a little longer than normal, so if it gets too long, I'm just going to scrap it and start talking. Welcome. We thanked everybody that put this building together, all the teams that were involved. I want to thank everybody that put this party together. Okay, obviously this took a lot of hard work, and I want to thank everybody that was involved in gathering this together, and then Chuck for coordinating all this. Okay. Thank you to all of y'all. I want to welcome from really around the world all of our project leaders that are in town from all places on the planet. Thank you very much for all of your efforts in the field. Thank you for all of your efforts around the world for so many years. Welcome to Birmingham for this great event. We have some special guests here. I also want to thank all of our subcontractors and vendors that made this building possible and also that help us build around the world. Thank you for all of your support. I'm very happy to be here with my family, my sisters, to look out and see them and the support of their families. It's great to be a part of a family business, and I thank you for all of your support throughout the years. We have some distinguished guests in tonight for this afternoon, and I first would just like to introduce Ted Randolph and his wife Jane. Ted, if you just raise your hand. Mr. Randolph joined the company in 1949. So if we ever had employee numbers or something like that, he would have been number 4 or 5 with the company from the genesis of the company. I was just informed he had an IQ of 160, which is, I think, double mine, something like that. But he worked with the company throughout the beginning on a lot of different projects and ended up working with international operations in the Negev Air Force Base job in Egypt. Thank you for all of your years of service, and thank you for coming to join us today. As I said, he started in 1949. And that's when the company was founded. And when the company was founded, it was my uncle, John Harbert, my dad, Bill Harbert, and Ed Dixon. I don't know, is David here tonight? Well, David Dixon, Ed Dixon's son, could not make it. But You cannot talk about the history of the Harbert family and the company without mentioning the Dixons. So I've got to just kind of go through a little bit. So the Cooper family, who are also here, Spencer Cooper's back in the back there running the video. I'm not sure if Lloyd is here or not, but the Cooper family, Belton Cooper went to school up at the University of Michigan. His roommate was Ed Dixon. Ed Dixon was from North or South Dakota, one of the Dakotas, somewhere where it's really cold. And they were both majoring in naval architecture. So eventually, Mr. Dixon was convinced to come down here to Birmingham to work for Ingalls Shipbuilding. Came down to work for Ingalls Shipbuilding, and my Uncle John and Dad met him, convinced him to come to work for the construction company. So they started this company. 25 years later, David Dixon goes to school at Stanford, and that's where he met one Mr. Jim Ryan. So the Dixon family really is interwoven, is that the right word? With the, I have to have Jim to help me with my English. He was an integral part of the company. So anyway, when you think of the Dixons, when you think of the Harberts, you think of what the contribution they made to the company. We talked about Jim's Cornerstone Award. It was fantastic last night. I won't say any more. I can't think of somebody that deserves it more than Jim. He has been a great mentor, a great partner, and most importantly, a great friend. Jim, thank you so much for all of your leadership. The company's first overseas job was in Puerto Rico in 1958, but the company's first true international job was in Ecuador and soon after in South America, in Colombia. The man in charge of those projects, working directly with my father, was Saul Lepp. If there is a name that is synonymous with the beginning of our international operations, it is Saul's. Seeing the photos of Saul and my father traipsing through the jungles of South America with bulldozers and pipe layers in the background are some of my earliest memories. So today we have Saul's wife, Terry, and his daughter, Wendy, with us. If you would just raise your hand. Very, very happy to have y'all here today. Up front are some of my dad's closest friends. They're here to celebrate the day that he would have been most proud of, but one that he would certainly have tried to avoid. He was never one for attention. Rather, he liked to empower his team, back them up to the fullest extent, and let them receive the glory. But of course, he loved a good party, and that's what I can assure you Mr. Chuck Bone is going to put on for us today. We cannot celebrate the opening of this new state-of-the-art building without recognizing those that came before us, working around the world, living in the work camps in the jungles and the deserts in the 60s and 70s. At that time, the International Support Office was about 3 or 4 guys, I believe, in a rented office space in Hoover or River Chase, shipping pipes and valves around the world. The people that were on the other side of those shipments in South America, the Caribbean, Africa, and later the Middle East were the ones that created the culture that defines our international operations. It is these early construction pioneers that inspired confidence within the group that we could build in the most remote, rugged, and inhospitable places in the world. We have been proving this ever since. It has been an epic 10 years for the overseas group. We have come from working in the most remote locations on the planet to securing one of the most high-profile projects in the world in one of the greatest cities in the world, the U.S. Embassy in London, England. The international team should be very proud of what we've been able to do. I'm very proud of what we've been able to do. But we must remain humble. The market will consistently change, and now that we are experts in one thing, that business will wind up, and so we're going to have to always be seeking out and challenge ourselves to find the next market in the overseas arena. This reminds us of why we must be diversified. Just 10 years ago, we were really struggling internationally, and as Chuck alluded to, we just didn't know what direction it was going to go. I remember somewhere around 2002, standing up at a Christmas party, and literally the only reason we made a profit was because of a couple of small river crossing jobs we had in South America. Thankfully, After that, the U.S. operations really hit its stride, 2002, 2003, and the government group of the U.S. operations really carried the company. So you see the cycle. The cycle will continue, but what does not change is we have to constantly challenge ourselves to seek out the next market and be prepared to take calculated risk and follow our instincts to do that. A few things have been said about the building. First, I want to tell you how much I enjoyed working with my great friend Chris Jatina on this project. We have traveled around and we've seen some of the greatest buildings in the world, and I think he has created another one right here in Birmingham, Alabama, that is going to be potentially an award-winning building that we can all be proud to be a part of. I think everyone will agree this building exemplifies simplistic elegance and function. I think not only have they hit a home run with this, I always like working with another father-son team as well. I don't guess your dad's here today, Chris. You please tell him how much we appreciate that, and it's great to see a father-son team succeed, and we're very proud of this. When you have a chance to see the building, one of the first things you will notice is the world map that resided in my father's office from 1976 until 1995. I remember as a young child, and then as a teenager, going to Dad's office. And on Saturday, we would sit there, and you guys, some of y'all remember something called a telex. So we would sit there in the office and read the telexes coming in from around the world. And he would use that very map to show me where these telexes were coming from. That very map, along with a photograph of my dad and Saul Lepp in the jungles of South America, standing next to a Harbert pickup truck, literally are images that I built my life around. What 14-year-old kid would not love that? A couple of trips to Egypt to see Alf and see the work we were doing in the Middle East. There's nothing more rewarding than the construction business. It's not because of the travels, it's not because these great facilities we get to build everywhere, but it's because of the builders out there. It's the builders, their families, and their stories that make this business so rewarding. I want to close by thanking Chuck Bone and his leadership. And Ms. Bone, I'm very glad to have you here today. I echo Jim's words as well. You know, everything we do requires a team, but every team has to have a leader, and I don't know of a better leader than him. His vision for the international operations may have surpassed mine, and I had some very lofty expectations. Chuck, yours may even be higher, and you have done a fantastic job of what you're doing. Can you imagine 10 years ago, the company really was in a financial distress? He comes to Jim and I, and he says, listen, I think I can fix the international operation. Need a couple of $1 million. And by the way, we're going to go rent a new office building somewhere else and separate from you guys. And also, we're going to open up an office in Dubai. Now, I don't know how well y'all know Jim Ryan, but that I was thinking, this is never going to fly, right? But that's what he convinced us to do, and it's been the greatest decision that we have ever made. Now we stand here in front of our own building with our own warehouse next door. And not just any building, but what may be one of the most unique offices around. These two buildings, and more importantly, the people inside of them, are what separate us from every other builder that we are competing against. I never dreamt that that lunchtime drive with Pat Mitchell and Chuck Bone, and Eric, you may have been there as well, we just started looking at some real estate, would end up into what we have created here in these two buildings. That was quite an expensive lunch, but it was very well worth it. I want to add my thanks to Eric Agnew, a close friend and world traveler. You have my greatest respect. Thank you for all that you have done. I'm trying to convince Eric and Jackie to start a vineyard. They're not going to be too far from the wine country there in California. So maybe we can have some Harbert Agnew wine somewhere along the way. It worked for Hensel Phelps, right? I've been very blessed in my life with a loving family, a father that showed me the construction industry was the most rewarding in the world, and who taught me by example to surround yourself with the best. Looking out here this afternoon, it is very evident that somehow I was able to do this. Thank you all for being here today. And again, it's very humbling to stand up in front of you always to see what we have been able to create. And I was supposed to say at this time what my dad would always say is the bar is open, but we're going to have to hold on. The bar is going to be open, but Chuck has a couple more things to say. And again, thank you all for being here, and we look forward to having some fun this afternoon.
Well, something tells me there's a pretty good chance that Billy will get his vineyard in California before it's all said and done. So, Billy, on behalf of everybody, sincere thanks. I know everybody's not here, but I go on a lot of job site visits with Billy, and I think the most phenomenal thing about Billy is when he goes on a job site, he honestly cares about the people. A lot of people talk about it, but he honestly cares. He wears me out, literally wears me out, walking around shaking people's hands. I mean, I remember when we were in Liberia, we went around and he felt that he didn't get like one corner of the job. So the next thing you know, we go, "Where's Billy?" Well, he had to go back out to find those guys so that he could personally shake their hands. So that's the kind of leader we have in Billy. Billy, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It is without question that none of this would be possible if not for the outstanding people working in this magnificent company. We currently have over 41 different nationalities who all contribute to our success. Whether it's a laborer like Mohammed Rafiq working in Pakistan, or a mechanical foreman like Tajini Saidi from Tunisia working in Morocco, or if it's a Filipino quality control manager like Jamie Mandali working in Finland. All of these people from every different nationality around the world, they help contribute in our success, and we would definitely not be here without them. Without your dedication and professionalism, we would be just another construction company. That said, I would like to end this part of this celebration by thanking the over 3,000 employees currently working in 15 different countries throughout the world. A wholehearted thank you to everyone here and around the globe. Thank you very much. Now we're going to go through the tent and we're going to go see the rest of the building. So thank you very much for your time. Okay, as you have read in your program, the reason we chose to fly 13 flags has a direct link back to the significant symbols of the United States history. We're going to start by raising 12 flags from countries in which we are currently working. The flags are going to be raised by individuals who have a lot of tenure with our company. Many of them have flown in from overseas, or many of them are direct managers. So I'd like to start by inviting Mike Veal, Senior Estimator, who will be flying the flag of Indonesia. Kevin Loftus, Operations Manager, will raise the flag of Morocco. Matt DeValk, Operations Manager, will raise the flag of Pakistan. Dave Shear, Logistics Director, will raise the flag of Finland. James Stone, Equipment Director, will raise the flag of Senegal. Bill Layler, Vice President, will raise the flag of Gabon. Alan Hall, Executive Vice President, will raise the flag of China. Pierre LeBeau, Vice President of Electrical, will raise the flag of Swaziland. Rick White, Vice President of Mechanical, will raise the flag of Benin. Linda Lauermore, Senior Finance Manager, will raise the flag of Nigeria. Paul Hadley, Senior Project Manager, will raise the flag of the United Kingdom. And he's a Brit, by the way. And Steve Warzik, Senior Project Manager, will raise the flag of Laos. Now, they actually did rehearse this, so we'll see how good it goes. Okay, if you could all help me in counting to 3, we'll get them to raise the flags. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's a good time for the flag. Real wind.
Thank you very much.
No, that's the wind counts.
At this time, I would like Dan Gore to present the colors. Dan is a Master Sergeant in the 187th Fighter Wing of the Alabama Air National Guard. Dan is a long-term employee of our logistics department and has spent 2 tours of duty in Iraq. Dan, we'd like to thank you for your service. It's been a bit of a mystery around our office as to who would have the honor of raising the American flag. It is without question that that individual should be Eric Agnew. I've been promising Eric for a lot of years that we would not make him speak, so we are not going to actually make him speak. But I want to echo what Jim and Billy said. We would in no way be here today if not for Eric Agnew and the efforts he's made. So Eric, once again, from all the Harbert family, we would be honored if you would raise the flag that will fly over our building. As Eric raises the flag, we will have Terry Bioni play the national anthem. Okay, now we're going to end today's celebration by cutting the ribbon to allow us to go into the building. After we cut the ribbon and everybody goes into the building, we have drink stations set up. The actual main event, the catering will be done by Kathy G. is downstairs. You'll see once you get into the facility. Please feel free to walk around, and also remember, we do have a logistics center right across the bridge when you get downstairs, so please feel welcome to walk around and enjoy our new building. Billy, Jim?
Everybody got their scissors ready? Did y'all walk over here carrying them correctly? I didn't. I walk with scissors the wrong way. I take a lot of risks. Guys, this is for all of y'all and everything that y'all do for us every single day. 1, 2, 3. All right, now the bar is open.
That way, so the car got out and we just walked, and then it was like.
Thank you very much.